And these are your hard facts. First hard fact of the day: 356 confirmed COVID cases yesterday. It's a lower number than the previous days, but it's still pretty high. An update from a story yesterday. I brought you a story about a school in Akwa Ibom. Well, Deeper Life Bible Church has responded to the allegations of sexual abuse at their boarding school. The church says they are investigating the case and that they've suspended the principal in the meantime. They say this should show how seriously they're taking the case. On the other hand, the victim's mother is saying that she's being pressured by people in the church to drop the case. Now, we're going to be watching that story, watching that situation to see how it goes, because that's why all 970,000 of you listen to Hard Facts. But today on the Big Three, let's talk about the NCC moving the deadline for getting your NIN associated with your phone number. Then let's talk about the latest COVID-19 restrictions from the PTF. And then let's talk about INEC clearing the air on underage voting. Remember, you can talk to us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. You can also talk to us on Facebook, or we're streaming live. Facebook is Nigeria Info 99.3. We are also available via WhatsApp. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. 080-959-75805. And we're streaming on YouTube as well, so watch there on Nigeria Info FM. Today on Community Report, Chukwudi will be taking a look at something that affects you in your community. And on the Big Hard Fact, we'll take a look back to the month of May. Our Hard Facts Year in Review continues from 5 p.m. You have news updates coming your way every hour, and after the news at 6, I'll hand you over to Rufai for conversations with Rufai. But right now, let me bring you today's Big Three.
This is the Big Three.
The Big Three on Hard Facts
On 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Is January 19th enough time for every phone user to get an NIN? January 19th, is that enough time for every phone user to get an NIN? Do the new COVID restrictions from the PTF make sense? Do they make sense? The new restrictions, do they make sense? And why is there a debate about underage voting or marriage? Why is there even a debate about that? Those are the Big Three, Lagos. Let's talk. January 19th is a new deadline for linking your SIM to your NIN, your NIN. And that's our first story. You already know that yesterday I had a conversation with NIMSI. Right here on Hard Facts, I broke the news to you that the Communications Minister, Issa Pantami, was in a meeting with stakeholders about this. My guest, Hadiza Ali Dagabana, NIMSI's General Manager, Legal Affairs, told you while you were listening to Hard Fact about that particular development. Didn't we consider that, and didn't we see that this could be a thing, and that prevented us from setting a deadline, or at least extending the deadline from the get-go?
There's a meeting already going on in Abuja.
Okay.
And since the declaration of the deadline, the minister has been having regular meetings with his all the respective agencies under the ministry to view the to at least to review the situation report and all that has been going on. So currently there's a meeting going on today. So I think we should just hold on and wait for the decision coming out from that meeting. The meeting definitely is going to look at the situation in view of the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic that we are experiencing in the country, and the population that we are seeing, the huge numbers we are seeing that are coming to our enrollment centers. Definitely those will be considerations for the meeting holding today.
Hadiza Ali Dabagana yesterday on Hard Facts. Another reason you should listen to Hard Facts, by the way, a great reason to listen to Hard Facts and to Nigeria Info in general. We make the news because we talk to the newsmakers. A few hours after she said that on the show, we got the report that the dates have been extended. That meeting held, the minister met with heads of NIMSI, NITDA, Alton, and the telcos, and they agreed to shift the deadline by 3 weeks to January 19th. So, Lagos, what I want to know now is if you think that shift was big enough. Remember, the National Assembly wanted the deadline moved to the end of February. So, do you agree with the National Assembly, or do you agree with Issa Pantami and his stakeholders? That should be the name of a rock band, by the way. Pantami and the stakeholders. But seriously, though, remember that what we're working with here is an extra 18 working days. There are currently 6 working days left in the year, right? After today, add those new 18 and you have 24 working days to register tens of millions of Nigerians. And from the reports that we've been getting from you who's been trying to register out there in the field, what we have happening now and then is they'll register 50 or they'll register 200 per day. And sometimes they'll close at 2:30, depending on where you're going to. So is this enough time? Do you think this shift was big enough? And then add pandemic into the mix. Do you think it's a good enough extension? You may have heard, by the way, that the Lagos state government said that some of the NIMSI centers here in Lagos had to be shut down due to social distancing rules. We're going to be talking about that, talking about the new COVID guidelines in our second story. But think about it. Even the centers that remain open, they're going to have to handle fewer people than capacity if we want to take the distancing rules seriously. So the question is, can NIMSI handle even 2 million people a day nationwide under COVID-19 conditions? 0700-993-993-993. We're going to keep the calls very short because the show Big 3 ends at 3:45 today so that we can hand over to Tunji Andrews for FinTech today. But what do you think about the shifting of the deadline? Do you think NIMSI will now have enough time? Do you think they're going to be able to get it done? 0700-993-993-993. 1 minute, 30 seconds. That's what I'm giving to everybody who calls in this afternoon. John in Ibejuleki, your time has started. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, Sandra. Good afternoon.
Welcome. Good afternoon.
Yeah, you see, Sandra, I don't want to break my head about this NIMSI abuse that they call her. For me, hello? The town where light no day. He gave it to the use for our village. Where they produce light. That's the water where they wash for Banga. If you keep them dry, you use them make light. Me, I don't send them. I know they go anywhere, so I won't go register.
Okay.
When the time elapse, Hello?
When the time elapse, when they block your line.
Yes, when they block them. But if they block them, by that time, we'll go use another system. What they say when light no, they give it to the use for a village. So now it's my own bizarro.
John from Imejuleki says they should block it. We got what they use for light. But I mean, how are you going to communicate? How are you going to stay in communication? How are you going to get alerts from your bank if someone debits money from your bank account? How are you going to get, because you still need the NIN. So of course there are 2 dates, right? So there's the date for those who have a NIN already, and then there's a date for those who don't have NIN. Those who have NIN and haven't linked their SIM cards to their NIN, they have until January 19th. And those who don't have NIN have until February to get theirs done. Francis is in Apapa. Hello, Francis. You've got 1 minute, 30 seconds. Welcome. Francis, you're talking to Sandra now. Welcome. Hello, Francis. Francis is going to hate himself because he finally got through and then wasn't paying attention. 99.3, hello. Sorry about that. Call back if you can. Hello. Okay. Call back again if you can. 99.3.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name?
My name is Chris.
Chris,
Calling
welcome.
from Lekki.
Welcome,
Thank
Chris.
I don't know, but I have this question, the same question I asked Joy during her own segment.
Yeah.
What is the urgency, as in, why are we linking NIN to our SIM card? Don't we have other means of identification, like the passport, driver's license, the NIN and voters card, permanent voters card?
Well,
What's the force about this particular one?
the general manager legal affairs who was on the show yesterday said that at some point we're going to need to be able to identify everybody who lives in the country, and that's why they're doing this particular thing.
All right. Let me just, on a lighter note, like Nigeria is a place, with all due respect to everybody, each and every one of us, over data collection without doing anything with the data collection, because we have BVN, we have what is it called, even the voters registration and all that, and it's even funny that when you buy 2 SIM cards from the same telecom, you will still go through the whole process from the get-go as if they don't have any of your records. You would have thought that when they key in maybe first name or last name, your information will come out. They will just add the number.
I quite agree with you. I do agree that there's a proliferation of identity collation in Nigeria. But when we had Nimsi on the show yesterday, she mentioned that they are trying to harmonize all of that data. But in the meantime, they still need people to go and get their name and to go and link it with their SIM cards.
It's just funny. Don't worry. In a few years' time, we'll still have this conversation.
I hope not, please.
They didn't do anything with it. Because to be frank, I don't know what their plans are, but I can.
Hey, well, your time has passed. Don't worry. I'm giving everybody 1 minute 30 seconds, and somehow you tricked me into talking for 2 minutes. Sorry about that. Let me talk to Moses now. Hello, Moses. Thanks for calling us. Moses, hi. Hello. Thanks for calling.
Yes. And what I just want to, my own observation is that, is it for the old people in Nigeria, this NIN issue, that they want to link with the SIM, or what of the, like one caller called maybe yesterday, what of the foreigners in Nigeria, the expatriates?
So,
how are they going to do it?
So for the expatriates, what Nimsi said yesterday on the show, for expatriates, if you are here on a tourist visa, then you don't need to get a NIN because you registered your passport ID to get a SIM card. But if you are here on if you have a residency permit, if you have a work permit, then you need to get NIN because NIN is National Identification Number.
Sorry, another thing, like one person that called on your show that said it's anonymous, a soldier, that said from that north side in Borno that they used to use the SIM from Niger. So how would they, and they are in Nigeria, so they bought SIM from Niger to call. So what will happen in that kind of situation? How will they sort that out? How can they solve it?
I honestly don't know. I don't know about that particular situation. I didn't get that call on my show, so I'm guessing maybe a different presenter's show. But be that as it may, that's probably one of the reasons why the Nigerian government wants you to have an NIN and to link that NIN to your SIM card. That's probably also why we're not getting new SIM cards registered or having new SIM cards registered. That way, they're able to know who and who exactly are in Nigeria, who and who exactly are making what calls. Because let's also not forget that this announcement was made as far back as February. And then when the Minister of Communication was invited by the National Assembly to explain why those who are making these calls, asking for ransom, kidnapping other people, killing people, why can we not track them via their phones? And the minister, decided to come and do this exercise. Also, the National Assembly members specifically also said that riffraffs and hooligans were calling them during the NSAS protests to threaten them, and there was no way to trace these people. And that's why now they want to link your national identification number to your SIM card so that things like that are easier for government officials, security agents to find out and to trace. I'll take one more call and then we'll move on to our second story. If you just tuned into the show, you're listening to Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. January 19th is the new deadline for linking your SIM to your NIN if you already have a NIN. If you don't have a NIN, then the deadline for you is February. Do you think that's enough time to get this done? Considering what you've seen out there whenever you've gone to register in the past few days, some places are reporting that the centers will register 50 people and say they're done for the day. Some places will report that the centers will register 200 people and they're done for the day. We've got tens of millions of outstanding registrations. Do you think that they'll get this done in time. Kay is my final caller, and then we'll move to second story. Kay Nikorodu, welcome.
Yeah. I want to ask about those who have never registered for the INEC. What is it going to have?
Say that again?
Those who have never registered for the INEC.
NIN. Yes, you have to go and register, but the deadline for people like you is February.
All right.
You have to register and then link your SIM card. You can register anytime, even after February, but if you have a SIM card, it will not be active anymore.
Okay. Okay.
All right, Kay. Thanks for calling. Our second story is the second wave. Yesterday, we talked about Lagos State enforcing restrictions on nightclubs and bars. Today, let's talk about the federal government's new restrictions. The Presidential Task Force has given states a new list of do's and don'ts in response to the second wave. They want all nightclubs and bars to be closed. They want all restaurants to be closed except for takeaway and delivery. They want weddings and conferences to only have 50 guests or less. They also said that the president has instructed them to work with states on enforcement. Now we're waiting for details of what enforcement is going to look like. Meanwhile, the Presidential Task Force is meeting with the president today. And whenever we hear what they've discussed, we're going to let you know. It may include some more guidelines or action points. But let's talk about the guidelines that we do have. Nigerians appear split on the issue of bar and club closure. Some are saying it's necessary to reduce crowds during the pandemic. Others are saying the cost to the economy is too high. We cannot afford it. They are pointing to the fact that this is Christmas, and so many of these businesses may collapse if they cannot use this period to recoup what they've lost during the first lockdown. But others are saying, we wouldn't need to lock down if people were able to follow simple guidelines, like wearing a mask. But since people did not do that, and we now have another wave on our hands, there's no choice. What do you think? Do you think it's an either or choice? If you think it's an either or choice, where do you lean? Which way do you lean? Do you lean towards government shutting stuff down so that we can survive the wave? Or should they leave things open so that we can survive starvation? Or do you think there's some middle ground? Is there some middle ground, to close down some activity but leave other things open? That way, we slow down the virus, but we don't bring the economy to a complete halt. Just a slowdown. What do you think? What do you think about these new guidelines from the PTF? WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. Remember, we're taking calls 1 minute, 30 seconds for each caller because at 3:45, we're switching gears to FinTech today. Tunji Andrews will be bringing you news from the FinTech industry. If you are looking to invest in the FinTech industry, that is a segment that you need to listen to because there's so much goodies in that particular segment. Wagbara is on the line. Hello, Wagbara. Thanks for calling us.
Thank you, madam. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to get through.
You as well. Good afternoon. Turn your radio off. You've got 1 minute, 30 seconds. Go.
Okay. Thank you very much. I have done that. This NIN,
yeah.
My company actually brought them early this year to come and register for us.
Okay.
Then we done the registration. I want to find out what the registration, was it automatically linked to our
SIM card?
Our SIM card, yes.
You have to check. So dial *346 hash, and then see if your number will send you the BVN. If it doesn't send you the BVN, call the customer care line of your subscriber, your telecom subscriber, and then they will tell you what to do.
Okay.
But you have your number, right?
Yes.
If you have your number, just dial *346 hash to see if it's linked. If it's not linked, call your customer care line. They'll tell you what to do.
Okay.
All right. Thank
Ms.
you.
Sandra. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling us. 99.3, hello. 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 Sorry about that. Call back if you can. Let's go to WhatsApp now, where we have lots and lots of thoughts. The studio number is 0700 993 993 993 0700 993 993 993, and WhatsApp is 080 959 75805. We've got Facebook as well, and Facebook is Nigeria Info 99.3. What do you think about PTF's new guidelines? What do you think about this extension of the deadline? These are the questions I'm asking on today's Big Three. Still coming up is INEC underage voting. That conversation is still coming up, so look forward to having that conversation with me as well. 99.3, hello. Sorry about that. Call back if you can. Let's go to Facebook then. Let's see what Facebook has to offer us. Facebook is Nigeria Info 99.3. While we're waiting for WhatsApp to load. Okay, so we've got comments here. Let's see. This person says, please, we that have different networks, how do we link other networks? Because you can only retrieve your NIN on one number, which is the number you registered with NIMC. What is the plan to link other numbers? So what you can do with that is call your customer care line or send them a message on social media, and they'll teach you how to do it. A lot of them have how to do it listed on their websites and on their social media handles. So if you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, reach out to them. If not, call their customer care line, and they should be able to let you know how to link it. We've got Fashion Ingbenga, who says this government is a ruse. Why is when Lagos State brought out their rules and PTF follows suit, they should shut down flights in and out of the UK, but the government will not do that. We're getting, by the way, reports that same strain, that's a mutated strain that has been found in the UK, has also been found in Nigeria. We're still waiting to get confirmation of that story. Okay, Godson on Facebook says, as long as we have these... Okay. Famous Christopher says, NCC shift of deadline to January 19 is a welcome idea. The government needs to do more on strategy on how to carry the exercise out. We're in a digital world. Create a portal so every citizen can fill in the form, then submit it to the database and get your NIN. Simple. If the exercise is left for only the designated NIN offices, they cannot meet up with the deadline. By the way, the NIMC official who was on the show yesterday mentioned that on the NIMC website, they have a pre-enrollment section, so you can go and pre-enroll there and then eventually go for your capture. You can fill out the form online and submit it there, but the problem now is that everybody's using the website at the same time, so the website is crashing. The problems are plenty. The problems are plenty. All right, let's take a message here. Good afternoon, Sandra. They should not do total lockdown, but go back to 1 day on and 1 day off. Okay, thanks for sending your message in. You didn't leave your name, though. Budget says, is there a difference between this NIN and national ID? No, it's the same thing. But if you have the one from 2004, then you may need a new one. We'll take a break, come back, and continue this conversation.
In a moment. People of a common purpose.
Sandra Ezekwesili, Ufoma Egbamuno, Wemimo Adewuni, and Joyce Onyemuwa on the round table. As we take a deeper retro look at major events that shaped the year 2020. The round table, 9 a.m. Friday, December 18, 2020. Nigeria Info. Let's talk. Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
I I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. You're listening to Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Every day between 3 and 4, we bring you the biggest stories of the day. 3 of them. There's a lot happening, but we have time for only 3. So we bring you 3 of the biggest stories of every day. And today we've talked about the extension of the deadline to link your SIM card with your NIN. And then we've talked about the latest COVID-19 restrictions. We're still going to talk about INEC clearing the air on underage voting. But let me get your thoughts some more about this extension. Do you think January 19th is enough time for every phone user who already has an NIN to get their NIN? Do you think the new COVID-19 restrictions from the PTF make sense? Do you think that we should either shut down so that we can survive the wave, or you think we should leave things open so that we can survive starvation? Or do you think that there's some middle ground, close some activity, leave other things open, that way we slow the virus down, but we don't bring the economy to a complete halt? 0700-993-993-993. Hello, thanks for calling us. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hello.
What's your name?
Good afternoon. My name is Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, good to have you on the show. You've got 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Okay, I'm on the road. Okay, Sandra, I don't think there should be any lockdown.
Okay.
Okay? Number one, this government is not trustworthy.
Okay.
So the people don't trust them.
Okay.
You see, in the US and in the UK, when there's a lockdown, they give them food. They give them something to stay at. Let the government, if they want to implement any lockdown, they should give food to the people. When there is food, then you can justify arresting anybody you say outside. So if you see anybody outside, you arrest them. They won't have any excuse. We've given you food, stay inside and eat your food. But when there's no palliative for them, nobody's going to stay inside. So there should be no lockdown. Okay?
Okay.
There should be no lockdown. They should allow. We are not going to die. The fact that we are not dying the way the Americans or the British are dying, it means there's something that is keeping us. And I believe that thing will continue to keep us. If you just, tell people to observe the rules. Use mask and then wash your hands, and that's it.
Are you using a mask? Are you using a mask?
I am.
Fantastic.
Lockdown is going to kill us faster than corona. Please.
All right. Thank you so much for calling us. Like I was saying earlier on, some people have argued that the only reason they're even contemplating lockdown to begin with is because Nigerians stopped taking precautionary measures to slow down the virus. So, if we're not going to do the things we need to do to slow the virus down, how do we ensure that we can keep moving about so that we don't slow the economy down some more by entering into another lockdown? Okoro is on the line. Okoro, welcome to the show. Thanks for calling us.
Yeah, good afternoon, Sandra.
Good afternoon. You've got 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Okay. Yesterday I was listening to the woman that invited was saying that the government was not, their government is not unreasonable. Then I laughed. Continue saying it is not unreasonable. So I wanted to ask her whether she's not in this country, right? She telling me that she will be going there to register with her own households. Every of them in the positions, none of them will appear in that registration. How could you see this and the COVID-19 and you asking people to go and register this time around? So, in fact, the question is, what about those in the hospitals, right? Like those who had victims of COVID-19, have not recovered. When are they going to register? So that's my question. I wanted to ask her that very day. Although my own, I was even surprised yesterday. I registered 2014.
Okay.
Right. Now she's telling that that has been abolished, cancelled.
No, 2014 is fine, but 2004 is the one.
No, sorry, 2004.
Well, some people, but again, something interesting happened. Someone that registered in 2006 said that he typed the number and his NIN came out. So check your own. Who knows?
Okay.
Who knows?
Because
Check. Just try.
That before then. Say, I have it because I
Just try.
2004.
Try.
But it was
Type
yesterday,
type star 346 hash and check, eh?
Okay. Okay, I'll do that.
All right, Okoro. Thanks for calling me. Because that's the thing. Sometimes government officials don't know what exactly is going on. That's why I was very surprised that someone sent me that message on WhatsApp saying to me, Sandra, I'm not sure this official knows the full picture because I registered in 2006 and I checked my NIN with my SIM and it's connected. I got my NIN when I typed in star 346 hash, and I saw that and I was taken aback. So maybe it didn't affect those that registered in 2006. I don't know. Maybe it didn't affect those. It affected only those in 2004. I don't know. Maybe it affected some people in 2004 and not everybody in 2004. I don't know. But just try. There's nothing you lose from trying. All right. The code to dial is star 346 hash. Star 346 hash. I don't know if that code works for every line, but try it first. If it doesn't work for your line, then do a Google search. Just type on Google, how do I check my NIN number with BVN? That's it. How do I check my NIN with BVN? Google it. Google will show you the answer. Seriously. And oh, good news. They're not charging that 20 naira anymore. I saw a tweet from the Minister of Communications and he says that he has mandated the service providers to not charge you money. So it's free. You can now check that check on that service free of charge. Let's move on to WhatsApp where we've got more comments here. Sandra, I'm typing it on my MTN line and it's writing service time out. Probably because a lot of people are typing at the same time. So try again. Bella also says, I don't think there should be another lockdown. Our government is good at copying. They should think and drive out another strategy to get this thing to stop spreading. Bella, thanks for your message. Emmanuel from Ijagun says, by which means can I have the NIN number as a foreigner? Are we exempted? What is our fate to continue using the same card? You have to get an NIN if you are a foreigner residing in Nigeria. If you are a foreigner resident in Nigeria, a foreigner who has a work permit, then you need an NIN. But if you are a foreigner and you're here on a tourist visa, then it's assumed that when you registered your SIM card, you provided your passport number, so you're safe. All right. Emmanuel, thanks for calling. These are not my words. These are words from the GM Legal Affairs at NIMSI, Hadiza. She was on the show yesterday. You can listen to that interview on our podcast. You can go and listen again. Our podcast is Hard Facts with Sandra Ezekwesili. So search for that interview on any of your streaming services and listen again. Onyedika, she says, how do newborn babies get their national identification number? Their parents will go and register for them. But I don't know that you can register them while they're newborn babies. I think they have to be a certain age first. Now, I'm working on having a series with NIMSI so that they can come into the studio or join us over the phone and answer a lot of these questions that you have so that you are more informed about the process. In the light of the new order from the federal government, they must call the security agents to order, Ajiluchukwu says. Ajiluchukwu says, try and teach the security agents decency and lead from the front. Government officials and their allies in the community must show commitment by obeying these rules. These are what would make even the uninformed to fall in line to COVID-19 rules. We must learn to improve on our mistakes of the past. All right, Ajiluchukwu, thanks for your message. Now let's move on to our final story on the Big Three today. Remember, it's 3 stories every day between 3 and 4, and then we change gears from 4 p.m. We've told you so far that they've extended the deadline to tie your NIN to your SIM card. I've also told you that there are new restrictions from the Presidential Task Force against COVID-19. I wonder if you think they make sense. For our final story, if they are not 18, they cannot vote, married or not. That's the response from INEC to the National Assembly. That's our third story. So what's happening here? The National Assembly Joint Committee on INEC Matters is discussing a change to the Electoral Act. The change was proposed by Senator Kabiru Gaya and Representative Aisha Duku. They are both suggesting that girls below the age of 18 who are recognized by some people as being married should be given the right to vote. And now INEC has said 18 is 18.
Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And if all the provisions of the Electoral Act are derivable from the powers conferred on the Commission and on the National Assembly by the Constitution, by the provisions of Section 117 of the Constitution. Even if you are married at the age of 14, you cannot vote. If you are married at the age of 15, you cannot vote. If you are married at the age of 16 or 17, you are not permitted to vote. You can only vote when you attain the age of 18 and above. That is the only way you can vote.
So the INEC chairman got into a bit of disagreement with Guya and Duku. I'm talking about Mahmoud Yakubu now. By the way, all of this was happening during the inauguration of a new technical panel on electoral reform, right? The panel is made up of people from the legislature, the executive, INEC, civil society, and other stakeholders. And at that inauguration, the first proposal from the National Assembly was this one. The person whose voice you heard from, by the way, is the INEC National Commissioner and Chairman Voter Education, Festus Okoye. He was speaking to Ijome Sek there. And you just heard what he said. But during that meeting, Professor Yakubu said something. He said the Constitution only recognizes 18 as the legal age to marry. And so he also says that even if the National Assembly changes the Electoral Act to allow a girl under 18 to vote because she is, quote, married, that law won't fly since it violates the Constitution, which places marriage at 18. Now, Representative Duku was not happy with Professor Yakubu. She accused him of being too dismissive of the proposal. She said, quote, it was one of the submissions of the day, on the day of the public hearing in the last assembly, that a married lady or girl who is not up to 18 years should be considered as an eligible voter. It is already in the Electoral Act amendment submitted in the last assembly, so it cannot be thrown away just like that. We should look at it and come up with something instead of throwing it away. It's not from us, but from the stakeholders on the day of the public hearing held at the 8th Assembly. But Yakubu was like, it dey constitution. Constitution big pass law. Nothing you fit do unless you fit amend constitution. And a lot of Nigerians are asking, how come an elected reps member was insisting that a law which contradicts the constitution should be passed? What do you think about this disagreement between INEC and the National Assembly? The Constitution has said marriage is only legal from 18 up. They've also said that you can only vote from 18 up. Is there any room beyond that to talk about underage people being married, first of all? Second, to be giving them the right to vote? Should underage marriage be encouraged, or is it something that our society should be working to get rid of instead of finding ways to get people who shouldn't even be married to begin with to start voting? So Mahmoud Yakubu says legal age for marriage is 18, and Festus Okoye says legal age for voting 18. Argue with your constitution, they seem to be saying to the reps, to the National Assembly members. What do you say? 0700-993-993 993 0700 993 993 993 99.3. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name?
This Oganetega.
Welcome.
Well, I'm not surprised because underage marriage in this country has been on over the years. So I'm not surprised. And you can only find this in the northern part of this country. Yes. Now they are trying to bring in religion manipulation into way to manipulate Nigeria constitution to favor them. It won't work. I really like them for Catholics. How can you encourage underage married lady? In the first place, how can you marry an underage girl? Well, I'm not surprised because I've seen many of them from northern parts. Yes. So I'm talking from experience.
Aganetega, thanks for calling. Now, to be clear, underage marriage happens all over the country. Yes, it's more prevalent in one part of the country, but it happens all over the country. We've got a message on WhatsApp from Chidozie who says it's disgusting to hear that girls are still being married off in Nigeria even before the age of 18. This discussion is so annoying. Is marriage now an achievement in Nigeria? Chidozie, good question. More messages on WhatsApp. Charles from Festac says, so the reason that you are forced to link your NIN to your number is because politicians got uncomfortable because people were calling them during the NSAS protests and they couldn't trace the callers so that they could be killed as well. This country in a cruise, Shah, Charles from Festac says. Charles also says, I have driver's license, voter's card, SIM cards, BVN, bank account. And while I registered all of these, my biometrics were taken, even the NIN. I have not been given the plastic card. I only have the laminated paper, which I was given 5 years ago. For Christ's sake, Charles says, we have so many pressing issues now. We shouldn't be bothered about linking NIN yet. Students have been in their home for close to 1 year. COVID cases are on the rise. No hospitals, no roads, but no one cares, Charles says. Charles also says, we just want to be able to fish out people who call us and demand that we do what we're supposed to do in the first place. I will not link anything. That's a message from Charles. Charles is at Festac. And that's the last message that we can take on the show today because, like I said, at 3:45, we have to wrap up and hand over to Tunji Andrews, who's in the studio with me, giving you the latest from the world of Money Inside app. On FinTech today. What's on the cards today, Tunji?
There is a big regulator play from last week into this week.
The microfinance banks?
No, the SEC trying to stop fintech banks from selling from selling stocks, saying that only regulated entities can sell it, and it's a very funny situation. It's you feel they should want to move forward, and then they see innovation that is moving in that direction, and they're like, no, this should not happen. And those guys are like,
And we have this happening both in Nigeria and in America, and they're doing this over some license or regulatory failure, yeah?
No, it's not a regulatory failure. So what they're doing, and people must always understand what technology is most of the time. So these guys are just like intermediaries. They're not the ones holding the money. So it's just like Sandra is a regulated entity. So I go and sell on behalf of Sandra, and then I bring the money to Sandra and say, okay, Kunle says he wants to buy 3 stocks. Kola says he wants to. You will still sell your stocks anyway, but you can now do it through me, which makes it easier, right? So you make money, I make money, we're fine.
So is it that these regulators need to adapt to the times, or is it that...
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to leave in the capable hands of Tunji Andrews, who's here to bring you FinTech today. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili.
You ask the questions, we bring the answers. Your #1 station for talk, 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.